We covered the work of Jules Siber in episode 152. Today we will review his later 1920 novel, bearing the deliciously eccentric name Paganini, Ein Roman von alten Göttern und Hexentänzen, or Paganini, a romance of old gods and witch dancers. The novel begins with the wholly unstable violin maker Quarneri being tortured to death by the Inquisition, since he carved the upside-down cross inside his violins, and also openly declared his love of Satan. Lucifer himself comforts Quarneri during his death, and then takes the last violin he had made, intending to use it to gather souls. There is also the Madre Natura, an anarchist order linked to marble statues moving about, the appearance of the ghost of Nero, and some grisly murders. But it really does not matter to the story. Several people are given the violin, but are then abandoned by the devil and left to die horribly. Then Lucifer goes to Genoa and finds a pregnant woman he takes an interest in, a certain Mrs. Paganini. She quarrels with her husband, calls his sister a whore, and sees snakes everywhere, and Satan thinks she's perfect and that her son will win him many souls. But then she thinks the image of Saint Sebastian promised her that her son would be the greatest violinist in the world. At the same time, there is a plot by some sort of Illuminati Satanist bigwig to ritually desecrate that same image of Saint Sebastian, but the girl who is supposed to do so dies before she can. Niccolo Paganini grows up and has visions of galley slaves burning to death and of having taken part in a satanic mass. But his father is abusive, so he joins the Carbonari, and has a bunch of people in a church massacred by playing the Marseillaise as a signal to the soldiers. He is also involved with a certain Doranovsky, a violin player who starts murdering people by the dozen when the revolution comes to Genoa, but has to run off when everyone has had enough of him. Later still, Doranovsky murders a count and falsifies his will, while blaming Paganini's devilish music for having killed him. Paganini goes to Rome, but is very much hated by those in power. Here he finds both Antonia Bianchi, a woman who attached herself to him to perpetuate her career, and who is a horrible scheming shrew, and a young man who becomes his lover down the line, Ippolito. Also, after Doranovsky shows up again and starts impersonating Paganini, Paganini kills him by throwing a boulder at him beside an exploding volcano. Due to another scheming woman, Ippolito, hitherto the youthful lover of Lord Byron, is imprisoned for attempted murder, and Paganini is very concerned about that, but he is soon thrown into the dungeon himself, and only gets out because of the whims of a cardinal. Finding success in Vienna, Paganini is reunited with Ippolito, who escaped from prison, and who now lives with him. The book waits until page 256 to finally admit this is romantic. Then when they go to Prague, they meet the ghost of E.T.A. Hoffmann, who says he is a big fan, and always moves his headstone when Paganini is playing a concert. Moving around some more, he settles in Paris for a while and makes a ton of money, while also beating up Victor Hugo. Growing older and burnt out, he returns to Italy. As he is dying, Ippolito kills himself, thinking Paganini is going to recover if he does, but he dies too. Now the entire village thinks Paganini was a vampire and besiege their corpses. A friend of Paganini's hides them away, but they are found eventually, and Ippolito's body is torn to pieces. Paganini's body is sent to his son, who spends decades convincing the church to allow him to bury his father. But it takes 36 years. Then when they do, an army of the defiled wicked dead buried outside of holy ground rise from their grave and want to take possession of Paganini's soul. But neither they nor the devil are able to do so, and Paganini is welcomed in heaven by Michelangelo. The book consists of 2 parts stapled together somewhat awkwardly. There are other scenes with Lucifer, Quarneri, the Inquisition, and the Risen Dead, which Siber can make as fantastic as he wants. But as for Paganini's actual life, he has to keep it within bounds for the most part, so it is rather uneven. Also, the ending and romance is very similar to the same in Seelenwanderung, which can be distracting.